Hi there. Today I'm going to make a vegan lasagna because it's another one of those days where people are going out and coming in and eating at different times, so that is a good thing to have in the oven ready for people, or you know, out of the oven ready for people to take some of it. And I've kind of mishmashed this. I've made this my own. I think it's really good recipe. The meat sauce bit is from a Nigel Slater recipe for spaghetti bolognese, for bolognese sauce. So I've taken that as the base, but instead of beef, I'm using a certain brand of very good burgers that are just like meat, and you break them up, you know, and then you get sort of quite chunky bits and smaller bits, and it's very good. But the first thing I'm going to do before I start doing anything else is I'm going to, let me bring you in on the action. I'm going to get an onion. Basically what I'm doing is I'm flavouring the milk for the bechamel sauce that's going to go in the lasagna. And if we do that now, then that can just be doing whilst we make everything else. Because what you do is you put an onion into a pan along with a bay leaf. You could stud the bay leaf into the onion with a clove, but I don't think we really need that for this because you're not going to taste it. We've got the meat sauce as well. Maybe if it was like cauliflower cheese or bread sauce for Christmas Day, then it might be more noticeable if you did it. But I can't be bothered to root through that massive bowl of bags of spices that I've got to find my cloves, so I'm just going to put them in like that. And I'm going to fill up in a measuring jug like a pint of plant-based milk. This is oat milk, but actually I kind of think if I had almond milk that might be better. I don't know if this is true, but I have a suspicion that the fat in almonds would sort of recreate the sort of whole milkness that you would want from a bechamel, whereas maybe it doesn't with oats. But anyway, this is really creamy oat milk, so it's good. And that goes in to the pot with the onion and the bay leaf. And actually, what I need to do as well is put a few peppercorns in it, because that's always worth doing, I think. And just unscrew this here. Only like, well, that's 2. That's, I don't know, 6, something like that. Let's put them in there. Get the lid, which is here. Pop that on. I'm just going to bring that up to the boil. Well, as soon as it looks like it's starting to come to the boil, I'm actually going to turn the heat off and then put it to the side and let it infuse for about an hour, or for as long as I'm making the meat sauce for. And then yeah, it'll just be flavouring the milk. And the reason you do this, you warm the milk so that I guess that sort of helps release the flavours more. Hello. So I've got my trusty big pot here, which I use for loads of things, and I'm going to put it on a medium heat. We're getting started on the ragu for the lasagna now. And into there I'm going to put like 50 grams, which is about this much-ish, and a bit more maybe, of butter. Oops, sorry, in there. Not olive oil, which may surprise you, but it's great actually because it makes the sauce is really unctuous, and I think having butter in it really helps add to that. So we're just gonna melt that down. Oh, Mabel. Mabel the cat is after a treat, but it is not treat time. Okay, that's melting down, and on here, on my chopping board, I've got Sofrito, which is like the base of loads of Italian dishes. It's basically onion, celery, carrot and garlic with the added thing of mushrooms. So it's like 4 medium-sized chestnut mushrooms and 2 bay leaves, one onion, 2 celeries, 1 carrot, diced really finely. And with the mushroom, I actually grate it. First of all, it was just so that, because when my kids didn't like mushrooms, I didn't want them to find lumps of it, but I think it adds a real flavour. But I think even if I didn't have to do that, I think it's nicer having it grated because it sort of blends in to the sauce and everything else is so fine. I don't know, I wouldn't want chunks of carrot or chunks of mushroom. It makes it seem a bit more British in a way. Anyway, that butter's ready. So let's put all of this in. Oh, it's going to be so nice, lovely, buttery veg. When I say butter, I obviously mean vegan butter. I actually really like the blocks of it that you can get now. I just don't have any at the moment, but it smells so nice. All buttery, and the onion and the bay and the garlic and the mushroom, it just smells great. So we're just going to cook that down so it just softens for about 8 to 10 minutes. Okay, so that's softened down sufficiently now. I'll show you what it looks like. If you can see, I don't know if it really translates, but it's you can see it's cooked and it's just softened a bit. And now comes the really exciting part. We're going to get these are 4 burgers, like plant-based burgers that are really like meat. So nice. And I've mushed them up and broken them up into pieces. It looks a bit, but it's lovely. And I'm going to turn the heat up in the pan and pop all that in. Stir it around. Let's see if we can get you in on this action. Sorry. And actually just sort of break it up a bit more and make sure that it's all hitting the bottom of the pan. And with the heat turned up a bit, see, this is what Nigel Slater says to do with like beef mince, but it works just as well for these vegan burgers. Oh, that's the kettle boiled for a later stage. Let that sit now, and what's going to happen is it's going to brown, and it's going to get slightly brown crusted just for a few minutes, as long as you dare. Well, 3 minutes or something. I don't want the veg to burn. Oops. And just let that get brown, and then after about 3 minutes stir it again and brown it on like the other side. So I reckon this has sort of had its time. Let's turn it. I reckon I could be braver with that. Oh yeah, no, it is getting a bit brown. It is getting a bit brown. And just keep it's sort of nice when you have a I guess, you know, with a meat sauce or with a vegan meat sauce, if the meat is browned rather than just sort of pale. It flavours it, it makes it much more sort of caramelizes it flavour, but also it just looks so much better. It's just so much more appealing. Okay, broken that up a bit more, and we're going to let that sit again. Okay, that's it. I'm not going to do it anymore. You know what it smells like now? It smells marmitey, which is like the savouriness, the savoury umami sort of flavour that I think people really enjoy with meat. There are bits getting stuck to the pan, which is actually really good. It's like the best bits of a roast dinner or whatever. Okay. So this may seem strange, but we are now going to add some things to this sauce. The first thing being 200 mils of plant-based milk. You may think milk, that's a bit weird, but trust the process. I think what it does is one little splosh at a time, make sure it all gets mixed in. It adds to it being really creamy, which sounds strange, but it's this sauce is more savoury than it is tomatoey. You'll see we're going to add some milk, some red wine, some vegetable stock, and some tinned tomatoes, but not loads. Which I think is kind of how ragu is supposed to be, like, you know, meaty rather than tomatoey. So get that all in, and actually this sauce ends up being quite liquidy too. Now for some stock. Let's get just 1 teaspoon of bouillon, vegan stock powder, and we're going to just add up to 200 mils of boiling water. Give that a stir, make sure it's all melted in. It will reduce down, it's going to look really liquidy now, but it won't stay this way. Actually, I remember Jamie Oliver had a recipe for shepherd's pie, or it was like cottage pie, I think. Anyway, he used milk in that as well, and I don't know, he was sort of saying something about it being like a whole dairy farm, or like, you know, using the meat and the milk, and I don't know. But anyway, they obviously go together. Oh, actually, I'm not going to use the jug. This is a little mini bottle. It's supposed to be 200 mils of red wine. This isn't quite that. It's 187 mils, but I didn't want to buy a whole bottle. So in that goes red wine. And now just need to add the tomatoes. And actually there's 220. Everything else is 200. This is 220. So there's a bit more tomato than everything else, but there we go, that's okay. In that goes. Now this has turned a lovely purpley, reddy, browny, purpley colour. It looks deeply savoury. And we're going to bring that up to the boil. And we're going to add some salt. You can taste that later, and if it needs more we can give it more. Some black pepper. See, that is quite liquidy, but like I say, it's going to have about an hour cooking. So I'm going to put the lid on, put it on a jar, and then it will reduce down. Also going to find my nutmeg. I can be bothered to go into my bag of spices for this, because I think it makes a real difference to this sauce. So that's coming to the boil. Put the spoon there. And just a little pinch of nutmeg for that warming spice. It's probably about enough. That's coming to the boil, so I'm going to turn it down. Put the lid on half. And let that cook for 45 minutes to an hour, something like that. And in the meantime, we can get on with the bechamel. So, on with the bechamel. I've got the pot here that I used to warm the milk, and I've put the milk into this jug, and the onion and the bay are just removed there for the moment. And into that same pot, because that pot has all the flavour in it, I'm going to put about, that's supposed to be 25 grams of butter. I'm using plant-based. I think that's about the right amount. Yeah, it'll be fine. This is on a low heat. I'm just melting that down. Don't know if you... I have a thing going on with my mum about white sauce. And about always, when I was younger, always used to ring her up and ask her how to make a white sauce. It's a bit of a standing joke. And she says, oh, you just kind of feel it and look. So, I mean, you know, if we don't get it exactly right, it's fine. I think the whisk is in the dishwasher, so I won't worry about that. I'm going to pour in now 25 grams of flour. I'm using gluten-free because it works really well. Oh, whiz it up. I mean, stir it up, get all the lumps out. Just beat it up like that. Make sure there's no flour left, no lumps. No lumps. We don't want a lumpy white sauce. No, sorry. Good. And that sort of looks like that, which doesn't look like very much, but we'll just let that cook for a sec so the flour doesn't taste too raw. Just going to say that the gluten-free flour, I think, works well to thicken the sauce. You wouldn't know, and if I can avoid gluten, I just do, because I think it's better not to have too much wheat. So, same with the lasagna sheets. I'm actually using gluten-free lasagna sheets because I don't think you can really tell in that situation when there's all those other elements going on. Okay. So now we have the warm oat milk, and we're just going to pour in a little bit at a time. So one splosh, and then get that all combined, making sure there are no lumps and no bits of just the butter and flour. Because if you put all of that in at once, the two things won't blend together. So let's beat that. It starts to get a bit like hard going, but it sort of turns doughy like that, springy, doughy, but that's good. That is how it should be, so continue. We'll put the next splosh of milk in. And I'm just going to keep going like this, and every time you just sort of get all those lumps out, and you don't add any more milk until what you've got already in the pan is completely smooth. Now once I've been going with little by little by little, but once the sauce starts looking quite liquidy like that, and you've only got about this much milk left, you can splosh the rest of it in, because there's no danger anymore of it being lumpy. So this is still on a low heat. I'm just going to keep stirring and stirring this for a little while, just until it becomes thick. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add back the onion and the bay leaf, just to make sure we carry on getting flavour. And you kind of have to stay by the stove for this and nurture your white sauce, a bit like you do with a risotto. You just have to be there stirring, which is lovely. She says, going into a trance, because you know, it's just quite calming, isn't it, to spend some time at the stove and not be distracted by anything else. You want to feel, when you're stirring it, you want to feel the bottom of the pan and feel for anything getting stuck. So that's what you don't want. You want it to be smooth and wonderful. I'll keep going with that. And that's our bechamel basically. I'll show you it when it's ready and thick. And that's done. Actually, what I did, because it wasn't really thickening, is I turned it up and made it come to the boil a little bit, and then turned it down, and that kind of got it going. So that's better. So now, and also it's coating the back of the spoon. I think that's what you need to look for. So let's remove this onion. Pop it in the jug. Where's that bay leaf? Oh, we won't worry about that, that'll be okay. And what we're going to do, turn the heat off, season it with some salt. You could put some nutritional yeast in, because that's kind of cheesy flavour, but and it's got added B12 and everything. It's quite good, but I don't think I will actually. I don't think I will. I think I'm just going to stick to the vegan cheese, which I'm not going to put in now, but I will when I'm layering up the lasagna. Let's have a taste of this and see how it's doing. A bit more salt, as usual. Bit more salt, but it's very nice. You can really taste that it's just sort of subtle, the onion and the bay in the background. It's really nice. So because I just love it so much, I thought I'd just show you how to make a bit of garlic bread to go with it, homemade garlic bread. Now this is garlic butter that I made last night for another bit of garlic bread that I had, and I'm praying that there's enough in there. I think there probably won't be, but in there anyway is plant-based butter, like oh gosh, amounts, I don't know, like that much, I just kind of feel it anyway. About 4 crushed cloves of garlic, salt and pepper, and chopped parsley. You know, just taste it and see what you think. I'm just got this baton that I'm just gonna slice diagonally, so nearly all the way through, but not. So just stop as soon as you feel the bottom. This is, I feel like there won't be enough butter because these slices are quite big. But that's okay, we can make a bit more. Right, so just get a knife, and I like to be generous with this garlic butter. I hate it when you buy it from the shops and it's stingy. Don't like anything to be stingy. So I'll make sure that it gets a good spreading on both sides, you know? You know, like sometimes you buy it in the shop and you can just see a little circle just dotted there. And I know it melts and kind of goes over it, but I don't know, I feel like that's a bit mean. So I'm gonna make sure it spreads like all the way down to the bottom and all the little bits it thinks that I haven't seen. I'm just gonna keep going like that. And then when that's all done, I'll just put it into a hot oven, like 200, which the oven will be at anyway for the lasagna, and cook it for like probably 10 minutes. Okay, are you ready? This is the most exciting part of the whole thing, the layering up. Because everything's ready. Got the bechamel, got the ragu, got this lasagna sized tray, which I'm just gonna rub the inside of with a little like normal olive oil, cooking olive oil, not extra virgin, and just go all around the sides and in the corners and just cover it all so that the lasagna doesn't stick. And we are going to start with a layer of lasagna sheets. I'm going to go 1, 2, they're a bit broken, but that doesn't matter because you can just kind of make up the holes like that. That's good. And then onto that, we're going to go with a layer. Oh, it looks so good. You have to see this. Look how ragu-y and dark and rich that is. I don't even know if you could really see it, but it smells so good. It just smells so meaty, which I hope nobody finds offensive, but it's, you know, it's just really, really good. So I'm going to put like a couple of ladlefuls and spread it around. Don't need to put too much, just as long as it's covered the bottom. And then our bechamel, which I just need to stir a little bit up because it's been sitting there for a while and it gets a bit of a skin on it. You know what I mean. And I didn't make normally I make more bechamel. I didn't make too much this time, so I'm just gonna drizzle a little bit because we want to save the most of it for the top layer of pasta. See, that's not too much there. And in on top of there, I'm going to put a sprinkling of vegan mozzarella, because I just think you get that bit of cheesiness. I didn't put any cheese in that sauce. I prefer to do it this way. I don't know why. I'm going to keep layering up. Okay. Oh, I forgot to put mozzarella on the last. Yeah. Can I lift up a bit? Oh no. Is this going to ruin it? Oh look, I'm going to lift up one sheet at a time. I'm such a loser. Even this one's got meat on it, but I'm going to... Oh look, I'm so clever actually. I'm not a loser. I'm not a loser after all. Look. There, see? Fixed it. Right, this is the last layer of meat sauce. This is like 3 layers all in total. And I'm just going to go for it now and put it all... Can you see how delicious that is? I might actually just, when this is all in, here we go. All of this meat sauce is going on the final layer now. I mean, I honestly don't think a meat eater would not enjoy this, or would even know that it wasn't meat, because it's so good. And there, I'm just going to remove that bay leaf. There are some big lumps of burger in there and other smaller bits. Look, I'm just, before I put the final layer on, I just want to show you. Oh, can you see? Whoops. It's really like savoury and unctuous. I'm going to just drizzle one little drizzle of the bechamel. Now this is the final layer. Oh no, don't forget the mozzarella again. Dear, oh dear. Okay. That's the final. That final main layer, and then this is the top. 1, 2, 3. I like to just leave the top like cheesy, crispy roof, lid, whatever you will call it. There's a bay leaf in there. I'll take that out in a sec. And I'm actually going to get my excellent rubbery spatula-y thing to get all of the sauce out, because we really don't want to waste any of that at all. There we go, and I'm going to spread that all around. Get rid of that bay leaf. Spread that about, and then for the top layer I'm going to add, oh there's more in the ladle, get here, think you've escaped. I'm going to add some grated vegan parmesan, like so, for a bit of a parmesan-y crust on the top. Let's be generous, because life is too short not to be generous. Now this is my favourite invention of mine. Oops. Sage leaves on the top. Plop. Now you just put them whole in a neat little arrangement, let's say like in rows of 3, and then what this does, it adds more savouriness, but also if you drizzle some extra virgin olive oil over them, as I'm about to do, in the oven they kind of crisp up, and then you get that kind of like crispy sage butter vibe. I'm putting a bit too much and getting me excited. Okay, that's enough. That you get when you have like pasta with crispy sage butter sauce. So nice. Right, bit of for extra virgin. I'm focusing it on the leaves. I'm drizzling it all over, but I'm making sure the leaves get it, so that they go a bit oily and crispy. Don't want too much, but just, I feel like things look better when they've got a drizzle of olive oil over them. Yee. It's going to be so good. So I'm going to put this in the oven now. 200, probably for, I don't know, like 40 minutes. But just keep an eye on it, just whenever it's golden and bubbly and crispy and looking good. Okay, this lasagna is totes ready. I've seen it already, but let's get it out. That is looking awesome. Can you see how beautiful that is? It's bubbling. It's bubbling and sizzling, and those sage bits. And I think, can you hear that? That's, anyway, it's crispy on the top. And it's really excellent. So, I'm off out to choir now, so I can't taste this right now. But I will be eating it when I get home, if there's any left. There needs to be some left, for sure. But I would serve that with the garlic bread, which is in there and finishing up, and green salad. And that would be perfecto.